Have you ever wondered about the story behind the world's most famous cat and mouse duo? I'm talking about Tom and Jerry, of course. For over 80 years, these two have been chasing, scheming, and occasionally even teaming up, making generations of us laugh until our sides hurt. But their journey from a simple idea to a global phenomenon is a story worth telling. So grab your popcorn, get comfy, and let's dive into the incredible history of Tom and Jerry. It all started back in the late 1930s at the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Cartoon Studio, or MGM. The studio was struggling to compete with the likes of Disney's Mickey Mouse and Warner Brothers' Bugs Bunny. They needed a hit, and they needed it fast. Enter two young animators, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. They were in their late 20s, full of ambition, and desperate to make their mark. They pitched several ideas, but most were rejected. One day, feeling the pressure, they came up with a simple concept: a cartoon about a cat and a mouse who are constantly at odds. Sounds familiar, right? But at the time, many of their colleagues at MGM were skeptical. A cat and mouse cartoon, it had been done 1,000 times before. What could possibly make this one different? The head of the animation department, Fred Quimby, was particularly unimpressed. He thought it was a tired, old cliché, but with no other big projects in the pipeline, he reluctantly gave Hanna and Barbera the green light to produce one short, just one. He probably thought it would be their first and last. So, in 1940, the world got its first glimpse of the duo in a short called Puss Gets the Boot. But wait a minute, the characters weren't called Tom and Jerry yet. The cat was a scruffy, mean-looking feline named Jasper, and the mouse was an unnamed, but equally mischievous, little guy. In the cartoon, Jasper is warned by his owner, a character we only ever see from the legs down, named Mammy Two Shoes, that if he breaks one more thing, he's out. Of course, the clever mouse uses this to his advantage, threatening to smash everything in sight, forcing Jasper to protect the household items. The animation was fluid, the gags were hilarious, and the timing was perfect. Puss Gets the Boot was a huge success. It was a hit with audiences, and even earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Animated Short Film. Suddenly, everyone at MGM was talking about the cat and mouse cartoon. The studio bosses, who had been so dismissive, now wanted more. Hanna and Barbera had proven the doubters wrong. With the series now officially in the works, they needed proper names for their stars. The studio held an internal competition to name the characters. An animator named John Carr suggested the names Tom and Jerry, inspired by a popular Christmas dime drink, a Tom and Jerry, which was a type of eggnog cocktail. The name stuck, and Carr won $50 for his suggestion. And so, Jasper and the unnamed mouse were officially reborn as Tom and Jerry. From 1940 to 1958, Hanna and Barbera directed an incredible 114 Tom and Jerry shorts for MGM. This period is what many fans consider the golden age of Tom and Jerry. The character designs evolved. Tom became a bit more streamlined and less menacing, while Jerry got his signature big eyes and charming smile. The animation quality soared, with lush backgrounds, detailed movements, and an incredible sense of physicality. You could almost feel every bonk, crash, and explosion. What made these cartoons so special? Well, for one, they relied almost entirely on visual humor. Tom and Jerry rarely spoke. All the emotion, all the comedy, was conveyed through their actions, expressions, and of course, the incredible musical score by Scott Bradley. Bradley's music wasn't just background noise. It was a character in itself. It perfectly punctuated every chase, every gag, and every moment of suspense, blending classical music, jazz, and pop tunes into a frenetic, hilarious symphony. The gags were inventive and, let's be honest, ridiculously violent. Pianos fell on heads, tails got caught in waffle irons, and dynamite was a pretty common household item. But it was all done in such a stylized, over-the-top way that it was just pure comedy. You never worried that Tom was seriously hurt. You just knew he'd be back in the next scene, flattened like a pancake or accordion pleated, ready for another round. And despite their constant conflict, there was an underlying dynamic that was more complex than just predator and prey. They needed each other. Tom's life would be boring without Jerry to chase, and Jerry's life would lack excitement without Tom's schemes to outsmart. Occasionally, they'd even team up against a common enemy, showing a grudging respect, maybe even a strange kind of friendship. During this golden era, the Tom and Jerry shorts won an astonishing 7 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film, tying with Disney's Silly Symphonies for the most awards in that category. They were a certified global sensation, but by the late 1950s, things began to change. Television was becoming more popular, and the cost of producing high-quality animated shorts for theaters was rising. In 1957, MGM, believing they had a large enough backlog of cartoons to just re-release, made a shocking decision. They closed their animation studio. Hanna and Barbera were suddenly out of a job. They were told one morning by a phone call from a producer, "The studio's closed. You can pick up your things hoost, like that." The golden age was over. Of course, we all know that wasn't the end for Hanna and Barbera. They went on to form their own legendary studio, creating countless beloved TV shows like The Flintstones, The Jetsons, and Scooby. But what about Tom and Jerry? In 1961, MGM decided to revive the series, but they outsourced the production to a studio in Prague, Czechoslovakia, led by an American animator named Gene Deitch. This era is, well, it's very different. The animation style was more abstract and jerky, the sound effects were bizarre and echoey, and the tone was often surreal and even a bit unsettling. The budget was much lower, and these 13 shorts have a cult following, but for most fans, they don't quite capture the magic of the originals. Deitch himself admitted the crew had limited resources and didn't fully understand the original characters' appeal. Then, in 1963, the reins were handed over to another legendary animation director, Chuck Jones, the man behind many of the best Looney Tunes cartoons, featuring Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. The Chuck Jones era brought another distinct visual style. Tom was given thicker eyebrows and a more expressive face, while Jerry got even bigger eyes and ears, making him look cuter. The humor became more psychological and less slapstick, focusing on expressions and anticipation. Much like Jones's work with Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, this era produced 34 shorts and has its own dedicated fan base who appreciate the unique artistic flair Jones brought to the table. After the Chuck Jones shorts ended in 1967, Tom and Jerry made their way to television. Throughout the 70s, 80 Segundos, and 90s, Hanna-Barbera, now a TV animation powerhouse, produced new shows featuring their original creations. However, due to stricter television regulations on violence, these series were much tamer. Tom and Jerry were often portrayed as friends who went on adventures together. The classic, chaotic chase dynamic was largely gone, which disappointed many longtime fans. In the 2000s and beyond, Warner Brothers, which now owns the rights, has made a conscious effort to return the duo to their roots. New series like Tom and Jerry Tailies and the more recent The Tom and Jerry Show have brought back the slapstick, the chase, and the classic frenemy dynamic that made them famous in the first place. They've also starred in numerous direct-to-video movies and even a live-action animated hybrid film in 2021, proving their timeless appeal. So why, after more than 80 years, do we still love Tom and Jerry? I think it's because their story is universal. It's the ultimate underdog story. It's about rivalry, persistence, and the surprisingly complex relationship between two characters who can't live with each other, but definitely can't live without each other. It's a testament to the power of visual storytelling, proving that you don't need words to make someone laugh, no matter what language they speak or what generation they're from. From a risky one-shot cartoon that almost didn't get made, to a 7-time Oscar-winning phenomenon, the story of Tom and Jerry is as wild and entertaining as one of their own cartoons. It's a legacy built by the creative genius of William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, and carried on by generations of animators and fans. And no matter how many times Tom gets flattened by a bowling ball, or Jerry outsmarts him with a ridiculously complex trap, we'll be there, watching and laughing. Thanks for joining me on this trip down memory lane. What's your favorite Tom and Jerry moment? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories behind your favorite cartoons. See you next time!